Functions questions. These have a certain pattern that they often follow, and so this one is fairly typical in the way it's structured. Start with the first part, which asks you to substitute a value in. It says f of x is 1 over x plus 3, which means that whatever you put in, x, the output you get is going to be 1 over that value plus 3. So if you put 2 in, that's what f of 2 is asking. You just replace the x with a 2, it's going to be 1 over 2 plus 3. So 1 over 2 plus 3, which of course is the same as 1 over 5. Now, state which values of x must be excluded from the domain of f. Now, a lot of people panic over this question. There's two situations, really. When you're talking about the domain of f are the things that you put into a function. So you put values in here, x, and the values you get out, 1 over x plus 3. That's the range. Now, when it says that things are excluded from the domain, it means there are certain numbers you can't put in because you don't get a valid output. And the two things essentially that you're not allowed to do at this level in mathematics are divide by 0 and square root a negative number. So is there any square rooting going on in the output? No. Is there any dividing going on? Yes. So the thing that you're dividing by is x plus 3. That's not allowed to be 0. So you can start by saying that x plus 3 is not allowed to be 0 because that's a equal sign with a line through it, so it means equal, not equal to. So if x plus 3 is not allowed to be 0, it follows that x is not allowed to be minus 3. Because if x is minus 3, we get minus 3 plus 3, which is 0. We have 1 divided by 0. You can't divide by 0. That's one of the two things you can't do. So the value of x, or the values of x which are excluded, in this case it's just x is minus 3. You can write it in this notation or this notation, it doesn't really matter. Okay, given that f of a equals 1/10, find the value of a. Again, what's this question asking for? Well, before, we had f of a specific value, 2, and we found the output. Now we're told the output is a tenth, and we're asked to find what the input was. So if 1 over x plus 3 equals 10, sorry, 1 over x plus 3 equals 1/10, what's x? One of the cunning little tricks you have with fractions is that provided there's no extra terms, there's no plus something else or minus something else here, we can just flip both sides. Effectively, we're doing everything to the power of minus 1, but 1 over x plus 3 equals 1/10, then if we flip both fractions, the same is true. So that means x plus 3 over 1, which is x plus 3, equals 10 over 1. X plus 3 equals 10. I mean, you can also see that just by observation. 1 over blah equals 1 over blah. The two things must be the same. So x plus 3 equals 10. So therefore, x is 7. But wait a minute, we were looking for a value of a. Well, that doesn't really matter. We could have just easily stuck in 1 over a plus 3. And I probably should have done that to be more consistent. But hey, that's the basic idea. The first question asked us, what do we get out when we put 2 in? This question asks, what do we put in to get 1/10 out? So the mystery value is here in the input. Okay. Now, this function takes its input, g of x, and it puts out x plus 2. So what does the function do? It takes whatever you put in and adds 2 to it. Now, if we're going to do gf, this is a compound function. So this is a classic function type question. Compound function means you do one function to whatever you put in, and then you do the second function. Now, g of x takes whatever you put in and adds 2 to it. F of x takes whatever you put in, puts 1 over that plus 3. So when it says gf of x, which one comes first? Well, you have to remember it's the ones closest to the thing in brackets that do first. So although left to right it reads g of x, we start with f of x and then we do g of that. So some people like to write it like this. We do g of f of x. So we start with f of x. F of x takes whatever you put in, does 1 over x plus 3. So we're going to have g of 1 over x plus 3. All I've done is put brackets here, by the way. And g of 1 over x plus 3, well, what does g do to whatever is in these brackets? It adds 2 to it. So g of 1 over x plus 3 will be 1 over x plus 3 plus 2. Now, here's the tricky bit. It says as a single algebraic fraction. Now, you have to get a little bit cunning here. How do we turn 1 over x plus 3 plus 2 into a single algebraic fraction? Well, if you're going to add things and convert to a simple algebraic fraction, you have to be working in the same denominator. So how do we turn 2 into a fraction? Well, we can put it over something. What are we going to put it over? We have to put it over x plus 3 in order to add the fractions. So we multiply effectively. We've taken 2 over 1, and we've multiplied top and bottom by x plus 3. So 2 times x plus 3. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna have to... Sorry. So we're back to the equation, just catching my breath, and we've got x plus 3 as the denominator. So what that means is we can now combine the numerators. It's like if you have 2 sevenths and 3 sevenths, that make 5 sevenths. If you've got 1 over x plus 3 and 2 brackets x plus 3 over x plus 3, you can just add the top bits. So all over x plus 3, again, apologies if you're finding this difficult to read, we get 1 plus 2 lots of x plus 3. And if you have 1 plus 2 lots of x plus 3, if you expand the brackets, that makes 2x plus 6. So I'll just shortcut and get to the answer, which is going to be 2x plus 7 over x plus 3. Now, we've had questions in the past where this wasn't the final answer because you could factorize and cancel down, but clearly 2x plus 7 doesn't factorize, so that is our final answer. Seems like quite a lot of working for 2 marks. Maybe I'm missing something. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's the right answer.